are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Cheslock. I am the VP of Sales here at the For Me Group, whose product is the Lead Tool. I want to thank everybody for making some time out of their day to sit for this webinar. Hopefully, you take an item or two away from this that you can implement immediately within your business. We'll give it a couple of minutes here for any additional people that'll be logging in here, but to give you a high-level overview to begin with, we're going to be discussing double data entry as it relates to capturing information at the beginning from the customer all the way down through your point-of-sale process, and some different items and things that you can do, and some technologies that you can leverage to make that happen for your organization. Hopefully, you've already started down the path of implementing some modern technologies, whether it be a CRM or scheduling software or accounting software, or even mobile measure software, whatever it may be. It kind of all combines into one, which I'll touch base here on in a couple of minutes. If anybody has any questions as we go throughout the process, more than likely I'll be answering them as we go along. But if you do, at the end of our conversation today, feel free to chat in at any point in time with your questions. I will answer them at the end of our webinar. There is no such thing as a dumb question, so if you got it, fire away. I want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered today around the status quo of anything that we do. So with that being said, looks like we got a couple additional people logged in here. For anybody that can't make it from your organization today, or if you have colleagues within the industry that you want to share this with, we will be sending out a version of this webinar via email, as well as posting it via various social media channels. So be on the lookout for that. Feel free to share it far and wide. Like I said in the beginning, hopefully you guys get a takeaway or two from our webinar today. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. I want to respect your time today. So a little background about me. I've spent a number of years in the retail as well as B2B and B2C sales space. Starting out, all the way growing up in a small farm town country, tossing bales of hay, all the way up to at the time being a licensed realtor. I thought, particularly down in Florida where I spent several years, I thought it was a great idea to get into real estate. About the same time that everybody else thought it was a great idea. Well, like pretty much everybody else around the country, did not see that downturn coming. But I thought to myself, if I can sell in 2009 in real estate in Southwest Florida, I feel like I could pretty much sell anything, anytime. So from there, I went into telecommunication sales, which is a classic cold call sales situation. If you have ever met anybody that's ever done telecommunication sales, hire them. They are great salespeople. I can tell you that right off the bat. From there, I was recruited by a company called Dot Loop, which is located here in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I relocated there. I was fortunate enough to be their second sales hire. For those of you interested in, obviously operating a very related field in real estate. We were a real estate software company. We got acquired by Zillow in 2015 for a little over $100 million. I was responsible for pretty much every sales role within that organization, from building out the sales team to managing the sales team to getting as granular as developing and defining what processes are, from call scripts to follow-up process to how to prospect, you name it, out of hand, and pretty much everything we did, and scaled it from $2 million to $15 million in ARR at the time acquisition. So, from there, got a lot of experience in terms of dealing and working with various CRMs at the beginning of the sales process, and obviously, bolting on or choosing specific softwares to fill out our product suite to make the system go and make it work for us. So that's a little bit about me. If you have any questions, like I said, feel free to chat in. Be more than happy to discuss that further. But let's dive in and let's start talking about double data entry. It's something I get asked about a lot. At my various stays, it's something that nobody likes to do on the surface. That's why all-in-one systems always sound so darn appealing. They come at you with, hey, we can do this front end, we can do the middle part of this process, and we can do the back end all in one location. Isn't that fantastic? It sounds fantastic. Well, in all my years working within the software industry, I have yet to come across a system that does every piece of the process well. Typically, what you'll find is systems that claim to be all in one, they always got to start somewhere, and it's usually with a very specific vertical that they're focused on. And then from there, they branch out and start bolting on these different technologies, whether you start out as a CRM and you put together an inventory system with it, or you start out as a POS system that goes into an accounting system, or you start out with a measure system that turns into a, whatever it may be within that, the realm of your sales cycle. So at the end of the day, typically what they're best at is what their core focus is. Now, what happens is, as you start bolting on these different particular products to make this all in one process, something has to give, right? Whether that's not enough time spent on those bolt-on processes, so you don't have the same level of reliability or how it works for you in terms of the core product that you bought it for. Or on the flip side, they spend too much time or more time, if you will, on these bolt-on products trying to create this all-in-one solution, and then their core product falls behind. So at some point, push comes to shove, and you're not getting the best product for each specific function that you're looking for. Which brings me to my next point. Why? Why would you choose something that isn't the best for each specific function of your business? Right? It's 2017, guys. This is no longer 1990 or 1995, where you have a limited variety of options for you to choose to get the job done. There is a lot of software, a lot of technology in each specific vertical. Whether you're looking for a mobile measure product, so you can go out there and take a measure of a home or a room digitally, or if you're looking for an online CRM where you can start with a sales process, or if you're looking to replace your accounting software, just get into accounting software, inventory system, looking to replace that, whatever it may be that you're looking for, whatever that specific function is, you should have the ability to choose what works best for you, what works best for your workflows, and have them speak together, right? Particularly if you only have a partial system or no system in place. I know one of the comments and one of the complaints, if you will, that I always get when we're talking about choosing a specific product, and we're going from a partial system or having no system to choosing a system, which is great, right? You're thinking about the right things. Your technology should work for you. It shouldn't replace anything. If anything, it should make you more efficient, right? So that being said, when you're looking at it, the question I always get is, well, double data entry, just it costs me too much time, or I don't want to do this because I already have to enter it in later, right? Pretty common, and nobody likes that double data entry. But you got to think to yourself, you got to weigh the time cost versus potential revenue, determine if that 5 minutes of data entry is worth it, right? We're not talking about it taking an hour for you to input data twice from your email, or from your POS system into a CRM, or from your CRM into an accounting software if they don't talk to each other. Ideally they would, but if they don't, is that 5 minutes really worth giving up whatever that average sale is for you? I think the industry average is like something like $3,500. Whatever your potential revenue from your average deal is, just multiply it. The average real estate salesperson, 48% of all salespeople aren't following up with their particular prospects. So there's a lot of information, a lot of data being left behind. Now, to further illustrate my point in terms of the evolution of being able to choose best of breed technology, you know, with each particular decade and each time passing, technology grows and grows and grows a little bit faster each term. It's almost like a hockey stick, right? You get that little bottom at the that 1 foot edge at the bottom of the hockey stick, and then it shoots up. That's the kind of growth you're looking at when it comes to technology. It moves faster than many of us can keep up with, even in the technology and software world. So, if you're operating off a legacy system that was last updated 10 years ago, or pushes updates to you on a locally installed server, a year ago, that isn't going to get the job done going forward. It doesn't allow you or doesn't give you the ability to create the experiences that today's consumers look for. We don't live in a transactional economy anymore, right? Where your local brand meant everything, that they had the ability to come in and find you, and that was that. We all sell commodities now, so they can literally go anywhere to buy that product. So to help you stand out in terms of your peers, start leveraging various technologies from what's available to you today. Whether that be tablets, whether that be new computers or a new software, depending on what your function you're looking for. Whatever it may be, I definitely encourage you to take a step back and look at your software stack and do this annually, guys. Whether that's your current all-in-one stack or your current point solution stack or no stack at all, whatever it is, you want to take a look annually and see what's out there, see what's available for you. There's too many options that are available for you to not take a look around. Now, when it comes to modern technologies, like I said at the beginning, in 2017, you should have the option to choose what works best for you in that specific function. And the way that's accomplished is through what we call an API. An API is just fancy tech talk that simply means that different technologies can talk to each other. So whether you choose the CRM at the very beginning of the sale, where you're collecting that customer information, all the way to the measure software for it to be integrated into, all the way down then into your quoting or your inventory / accounting software, whatever that looks like, should have the ability to talk to each other. At the end of the day, just because it's an all-in-one solution doesn't mean that you can't have the option to choose what's best for that specific function in that vertical that you're looking for. API is a very easy, very common thing in the technology world. If you have questions about it, feel free to chat in. I'd be more than happy to answer those for you. But modern technology should make this available for you. And if you're not sure if your current stack has it, ask. If you're evaluating new technologies, ask. At the end of the day, they should strive to earn your business, and an easy way to do that is through connecting those technologies. Now, one of the biggest things in terms of double data entry that I hear about are my people, right? Well, your people really do matter. And it starts with knowledge, but as you can see, as it starts scaling down there, the other 52%, a lot of it revolves around various technologies to help you get this job done. Now, again, it comes back to that data entry. You should be able to have a CRM that you can just start typing in the search toolbar that links up with your Google contacts or your Microsoft Office contacts, whatever it is. So you can just one click add them into your CRM. You should be able to move and change the status of a particular customer in your CRM, so then it goes down into your inventory or accounting system. All of that should be done for you, and it should be done in a stack that you choose that works best for your function. Now, in terms of a modern sales staff, as we continue to progress and in particular, in that demographic of 25, 30, 35, 40-year olds that are increasingly making up more and more of the industry, whether that be a sales staff or whether that be the end purchaser, the customer that you're going after. And it's just going to keep growing from here on out, 2020, 2025. It's going to end up making up 75 to 80% of the actual market. So if you're not thinking about those things now in terms of how to attract that customer, by 2020 or 2025, when it actually comes, it's going to be too late. They're going to go and choose a particular company to work with that's provided an experience off the bat. And people are more than likely to tell about the bad experiences that they are about the good experiences. And just think about all the different social media avenues people have today, whether it's Facebook or Snapchat, Instagram, even Pinterest, whatever it may be. When you're talking about a modern sales staff, they're going to want the ability to have and interact with technology to help them do their job. At the end of the day, that comes back to the double data entry. Give them the ability to capture that information up front and have it seamlessly flow through the back end for specific functionalities. The sales rep may not interact with the accounting software a whole lot, so the accountant may want a particular different type of software than the salesperson does, so on and so on. So make sure you're choosing, make sure you're evaluating the proper technologies for the end user, whoever's going to be using that specific function of the product. Pencil and paper aren't going to cut it. As we all know, we're humans, things fall through the cracks all the time. So as you start capturing this information, whether it's in a notebook or a piece of paper or a sales sheet, when they first walk in the door, whatever it may be, if you're doing that, you know as well as I do, it's getting tossed in the back on a desk or thrown up on a pin board or put in a file folder, only to A, be forgotten about, or B, too difficult to hunt and find down, or C, you don't even know what happened to the actual document. So you got to think to yourself, what kind of experience is that creating? And is it worth the additional 5 minutes of double data entry that you may or may not need to do to accomplish a better experience for your customer? Now, as far as recruiting goes, if you're recruiting new talent, younger talent, things of that nature, if you give them a pencil and a notebook or a piece of paper, particularly millennial generation, they're going to kind of look at you cross-eyed and say, "What is this?" Same thing goes, if you have a particular software where you're connecting at the front end, they're going to ask you, why am I going to have to go and use this interface from 1995? They're going to look at you so puzzled that they're not even going to know what to do. Now, in terms of the market, I mentioned this before, just to fill you with some additional information here, 48% of the time, salespeople aren't following up. And that's an experience that's going to come back to the brand. Now, in terms of the consumers, 60% haven't completed because they have a poor sales experience. And that all starts with the people that you hire. Remember, people, the most important thing you could potentially do, but also equipping them with the tools necessary to do their job. The paper and pencil that used to work back in the day, but at the end of the day, if you're not giving them the ability and the tools required to do a proper follow-up process or even have a follow-up process in place, you got to start thinking about what your customers and consumers are going to be saying about you, no matter how long you've been in business, 50 years, 100 years. It doesn't matter. Consumers don't care. And if you think I'm BSing you, take a look around with what's happening with some other retail operations, whether it be Sears or Kmart or even Macy's. I mean, you name it, throw a dart. Retail is changing, the landscape is changing. So get out ahead of what we're talking about. Enable and equip your sales staff with various technologies that seamlessly integrate together to reduce your double data entry and reduce the resistance when it comes to, or the friction, if you will, when it comes to the buying process. I was talking to a dealer the other day, and we got on the topic of retail and the buying process and how it's changed over time. And one of the things he said that I think was brilliant was, how difficult are you making it for them to buy from you? Let that sink in for a minute. And this is coming back to all tying into the double data entry, right? We think about ourselves a lot with what we want to do. Is it taking time out of my day to do this? Is it taking time out of my day to input this information into my CRM and then having to go back and enter a name and an email address and a phone number, 3 items, into a CRM software if they're not connected via an API, or if it's an all-in-one system, entering that information into the CRM portion of it, only to have it not actually be followed up with because the system's too difficult to use, or it doesn't have an adequate follow-up system built into it. Whatever the case may be, think about the customer. Think about what's happening to the consumer. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but it really is. Now, from a solution standpoint, design and implement a scalable sales process. If you don't have that today, starting down with the details, what's your process look like? Are they capturing information on a sell sheet, then transferring it to your CRM? Or are they transfer or putting it into your CRM and then having to do a double data entry and put it into an accounting system, or if it seamlessly integrates, or if it's an all-in-one? Whatever that process looks like, make sure it's understood and implemented across the board, and make sure you have a way for them to be accountable to it, right? So that's another big thing that I hear about a lot of days. Well, I'm pretty sure my guys are doing it. Well, they've been with me a long time. I know that they know what they're doing. How do you know that? Just because they have been with you a long time doesn't mean they're exactly doing it. And, human nature is, if if you're going to let them get away with something, they're going to push it, and find out what that breaking border is. So you want to have the ability to actually have an idea of how to keep them accountable to whatever your sales process looks like. And from there, you want to implement systems to enable and carry out this process, right? And you can have all the productivity skills in the world, uh, uh, or tools, I should say, but if you don't have the skills first, it's just not going to happen. And that comes back to top-down leadership, top-down ownership of what's happening across the board. So from there is designing it, right? So standardize your process, make it repeatable and scalable. From there, you're also going to want to talk about your brand. Uh, uh, your brand is everything when it comes to it. So if you're capturing that information on a piece of paper, highly encourage you to get a process that's a web version. I would stay away from anything locally installed. You guys shouldn't have to worry about the technology side of things. You should just be able to log in and boom, it's there for you, and be ready to go. But talk about that interaction. Talk about the process. Be upfront. Be transparent with what your process looks like. If it's going to require double data entry, let it be known, and then justify it. Right. So at the end of the day, if you have multiple technologies in place and they don't talk to each other at the time of this conversation, then discuss the time value versus revenue. Right. Again, the double data entry doesn't take more than a couple minutes for each particular customer. Does it add up? Sure, but 10 customers over a 1 week period, we're talking about an hour total, and we're talking about $35,000 in potential revenue that is missed just because you don't want to do an extra hour of work, right? So relate it back to that way. Now, if it's an all-in-one system, make sure you have the ability to go in there and automate a follow-up process. The last thing you want to do is spend all this time coaching and training and getting information into your system and then not have them follow up. Completely demoralizing. It affects your brand tenfold. And then, obviously, if you do have a custom setup where you can choose and you have chosen, specific technologies that are best of breed that are available to you in the market and are always going to be the best because they're putting money back into the product and constantly enhancing it for your team, then obviously you're going to want to make sure those talk to each other. Now, when it comes to the actual systems here, right? Specialist over generalist. I say this all the time, right? So everybody's got their own choice, but at the end of the day, you want best of breed for each specific function. Focus on solving the problem that is trying to solve, not 10 other ones that don't complete the picture, if you will. Now, when it comes to industry-specific software, it can be great, it can be meaningless too, depending on whether or not it's being used. That's another big function. It could have all the features in the world, but if they're not actively using that particular function of the product, then what do you have it for? Why is it there? And I get it. It's justified by, well, we're already paying for it. We try to get them to use it. Definitely understand. Totally get it. At the end of the day, it comes down from the top, to be honest with you. The people that get the best adoption, the most use, are the ones that stand behind it from the top down. Now, that also kind of goes hand in hand with an easy-to-use product. If it's just flat out too difficult to use, then yeah, you're going to run into some roadblocks. You're going to run into some issues if, it requires too much double data entry into 3, 4, 5, or 6 different technologies that you're trying to use. Then yeah, you're gonna run into some hurdles. Now, the next thing when discussing different technologies, as you start evaluating all of these, you want to make sure it's modern, flexible, extensible. It has integrations. Make sure they're going to be a partner to you, not just another software that they're going to buy, take your money, and say, hey, thanks. We'll talk next year when we have an update for you. Make sure they're going to help you with the implementation and adoption across the board. If they're going to charge heavy, exorbitant amounts for that, go back to the drawing board. There's a lot of options out there for you. In theory, practice and theory are the same thing. In practice, they're not. I love that quote. We can theorize about all-in-one technologies all day, but when it comes to the actual practice of it, more than likely you're only using 2 out of the 3 functions, or three out of the four functions or one out of the four functions of that all-in-one process. So you're not getting out of that product what you potentially could be. Now, identify your objectives next. You want to assist in implementing whatever that process is that you designed or that you worked with a consultant to design or your software vendor to design, whatever that looks like for you, and then standardize it across the entire organization. I cannot harp on that one enough. Whatever process it is, whether it's double data entry, whether it's not, whether it's choosing four technologies to do your product or one, whatever that looks like, automate key parts of that process and just standardize it across the board. Now, why do you need to do all this? Again, 55% of salespeople are not equipped to do their job. They don't have modern capabilities. There's too many options out there for you to just provide pencil and paper anymore. Sales are slipping through the cracks. It's natural. We're human. They aren't equipped to interact with the customer. They expect a different experience nowadays. Again, if you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm BSing you, just take a look at what's happening to traditional retail. It's an evolve or die type of culture. At the end of the day, if you lack a sales process, if you lack ongoing sales training, if you lack sales tools, it's going to be tough to go forward and capture today's consumer at a level that you want. Right? There's too much competition, whether it's from additional independent dealers or big boxes or some online retailers like Wayfair now. It's becoming a very competitive environment, very competitive market. So invest in your people, invest in training, invest in systems and softwares and processes that are going to help them do their job more. And just to give you some math so you can start calculating, kind of what this all means for you guys. So nice round number, 100 jobs at a nice round number at 2,000, right? This means you get about 300 leads a month, which I'm going with industry standard close rate of 30%. That's going to generate about 200,000 in monthly revenue. You think that's worth an additional 4 or 5 minutes of time to do a double data entry? Do you think that's worth an additional investment in the best of breed software? Do you think that's worth the investment of just getting software in general, whether it's all in one or not? Um, you know, from the other 200 leads, you guys start thinking about if you don't have a system to work and close additional 10% of those, we're talking about almost $500,000 in revenue that you're missing out on. So again, start calculating the numbers. How many leads are you getting a week? What's your close rate? How many of those leads are actually being captured? If you don't know that, then I would take a step back for a minute and probably start there before we get into anything else in terms of evaluating specific softwares that you're looking for. And guys, there's a lot of options. It can be overwhelming. I definitely understand. I get it. The best place for you to start, in my opinion, is going to be with a CRM, as probably 99% of you already have an accounting software in place. The CRM is kind of the hub by which all spokes bolt off of, whether that's your inventory, whether that's your measure software, your accounting software, you name it. The CRM should be your hub. That's where everything should be going into. That's where all original sales data should be. Because at the end of the day, if your organization doesn't have sales, you don't have anything. And it's changing over time. Less and less customers are just swinging by the store to buy. Right. The average customer, from when they start their buying process to when they actually purchase, is 149 days long. So contrary to popular belief, they're not just coming into the store and buying from you today. Now, what that means for you guys is, with the CRM, again, there's a lot of options out there for you when it comes to, industry specific or just flat out generalized CRMs, whatever it may be. But again, I encourage you, make sure whatever that particular product is that you choose or want to evaluate, make sure it has an API. Make sure it has the ability to talk to these other programs. If your current existing stack doesn't have an API, then I would reevaluate what you're using it for. I would reevaluate in terms of where their product roadmap is going to be and how it's going to help you and take you into the future, into a modernized sales process, into a modern sales team in a modern company. Reevaluate your entire stack until you come up with an answer. And if it's currently working for you at that time, awesome. Keep it, stay with it. I get it. Change is tough. And if it's working, go ahead. But at the end of the day, I said it before, this is very much an experience-driven economy. Deliver a better experience, and that starts with getting rid of the crappy stuff and focusing on the good stuff. A nice quote from one of the innovators himself, Steve Jobs. Now, good news is consumers want to buy from specialty stores, right? 60% they want to buy from a local store. A lot of it has to do with your knowledge. So don't make it difficult for them to buy from you. Make sure you're getting their information. Make sure that information is flowing from point A to point Z in a seamless way. If it's not, if you got some stop gaps in that process, then I think you can probably justify spending the extra 5 or 6 minutes and double data entry that it's going to take you for that additional sale of 2,000 spread out over a month, over a year. Like I said, the average store is going to see about a half a million potential revenue come from that, which I don't know about you, that's worth an extra hour of my time. Now, I want to leave you with a couple things here. You need to ask yourself a couple questions. Is your current legacy stack costing you business? And by that, I mean, is it too difficult for your people to use so they're not using it, they're not capturing information, and they're just kind of half-assing it? 2, is 5 minutes of your time worth more than your average sale? Think about it if it is a broken up process, if your systems don't talk together, or if you're in a place where you can't go out and get a full new technology suite. Wherever you're at in your process, think about it for a second. Is that 5 minutes worth costing you an additional sale at $3,500? If it is, keep doing what you're doing. Keep with the status quo. More power to you. If you want to grow revenue, if you want to capture more customers, if you want to create a better experience, then I would seriously consider reevaluating spending the additional time, the additional couple minutes putting in that information. And then last but not least, how much is it not consistently following up costing your business? And that might be the biggest one. Like I said, it all starts with the CRM. It all starts with the hub by which all folks come from. If you're not following up on a consistent basis, and I'm not talking about once every 2 weeks, I'm not talking about once every month, or I'm pretty sure we're capturing customers, or I only focus on the people that want to buy today, which is easy to do, and I get it. It's retail. I've worked in it myself. At the end of the day, if you're not consistently following up, it is costing your business significant amounts of money. Now, that being said, thank you for swinging by our webinar today. We do these every 2 weeks on a different topic. If there's a question or a particular topic that you would like us to cover, write in, shoot me an email, send a chat in right now. We'd be more than happy to cover it for you. Some insights, things of that nature that we took over time, or that we hear from around the country as we talk to many dealers, many trade shows, things of that nature. Be more than happy to share that with you. Feel free to share this far and wide and link up with us, theleadtool.com if you want information on our CRM, or would like to schedule a demo to see how your workflows would look into it, or you just have some general information. You can get a hold of me at Kyle, Kyle, at the number 4megroup.com. That's Kyle at 4megroup.com. Or feel free to give me a call or shoot me a text at 419-305-1900. You guys will be able to find this webinar on any of our social media platforms that you see there. You're also going to be receiving an email with a recording of this. So like I said, feel free to share far and wide. Definitely thank you for coming to our webinar again. Before I let you go, let's see if there are any questions that have come in that I did not answer as we go along. All good questions. All answered. All right, good stuff, guys. Well, it looks like it's about it. Like I said, feel free to link up with me. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Otherwise, I'm going to let you guys go about your day. Good luck with everything. Hopefully you guys choose or currently have a technology stack that works for you. Like I said, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Have a great rest of the day, guys.